Hi angels, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be slightly different. In all truth, I work so hard on all of these videos for you guys. Every video I put out, I put 110% into it, and this week, I won't lie, I've been feeling slightly burnt out creatively and having my attention kind of split into so many different areas, and I wanted to take this week to spend some quality time with you, a more chill video, me just reading some poetry to you under my favorite tree. I'm in Topanga Canyon right now, my favorite place, one of my favorite places in the entire world, and I haven't been here since before the wildfires, which Topanga's okay, it's open to the public, clearly, otherwise I would not be able to be here. You just have to take a different route to get into it. There's some roads that are closed, but I haven't been here in months because the route here is a bit longer than usual and I just haven't carved out the time. But now that it's spring and it's so green outside and it's beautiful, it's a sunny, beautiful day, you could probably hear the bird song. I wanted to come hang out at my favorite tree, and this is technically what the locals call it. This is the Joni tree, aka it is rumored that Joni Mitchell herself came here and wrote songs here. It's just a very magical tree. It's a very special tree. I feel as if it holds a lot of wisdom and creative energy, and it's a very poetic tree in nature. Even if Joni Mitchell didn't really hang out here, if you believe it to be so, anything can be poetic and anything can be magical. So what better place to sit and read? So that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'll show you guys the poetry I have selected for today. The goal with this video is for us to share common interest and to bond over our love of language, our love of poetry. Is a Victorian posy. I posted this on my Instagram, and it has all poetry and prose from the Victorian era, as well as some really beautiful artwork. I selected this, which has some poems from Christina Rossetti peppered throughout, which made me want to also bring my collection of Christina Rossetti poems in prose, and I'm going to read some poetry and some prose from both of these. I love both of these covers so much. As well as I'm going to read you a poem of mine. Before we get into the reading, I wanted to quickly go ahead and plug my website. I recently did a drop of some poem collages of one of my poems, I Will Not Go to Mars With You. I brought one of the collages with me today to read to you and to show you what they look like. This is just one of them. They're all unique, they're all handcrafted, mixed media. There's rose petals, there's ribbons, sketches, a wax seal, stickers. So special to me because I wrote it about my love and appreciation and worry over our earth and the way we take care of our earth, and I figured reading it under my favorite tree outdoors on a beautiful spring day would make a lot of sense. So you might have already heard this poem before, but I'm going to go ahead and read it to you now. I will not go to Mars with you. Sweet oxygen fills your chest, up, down, as I lie upon your sweet devotion. You asked one of those modern questions, provoking conversation as couples do after their delectable fidelity, blur of limbs and lips. Let us discuss this. Do I want to go to Mars with you? Seems out of this world, to say the least, but a fair inquiry, as men further technology beyond my comprehension. You emphasize how the Earth has what feels like minutes left, and then humanity will relocate to the planet of war. You will empty your drawers and join your brethren, but not without me, you said. Death you will not accept, not yet. I must answer sincerely. How the red-blooded planet would feel too disorienting. My fears I would never adapt to the dust, the emptiness, the lack of life, the missing signs, alien to the thick, fural air. How would I breathe? I love you so, I open and bleed for you, but I will not go to Mars with you. I've always known that my perishment would be on the seaside, and if my mother must implode, then so will I, in solidarity alongside her fate. She has been my mirror at the gate for too long. I cannot leave her in her time of need due to the greed of man. It is avaricious to escape the natural order of things. So, I will dream of sleep in my mother's keep, welcoming destruction like an old friend, like a portal to heaven. Amidst the explosion, the fire will claim my hair, years of growth charred and offering. My skin will dissolve into 1,000 grains of sand as my tears of relief join the sea foam in the drowning land. My eyes so green will pop cleanly, akin to the dewdrop on a leaf I surveyed in fascination as a young girl. Earth will never be a young girl again. I lift my head, chin first, my soft gaze now eye level, plant a kiss over your heart, and then say, I love you, but I will not go to Mars with you. So that is a very special poem that is going to kick off a very special project, my next big, very special project, and each purchase of a collage or anything on my website directly funds my ability to continue writing and creating art for you guys outside of just YouTube, which I really appreciate. So yeah, really pretty, really special, and it'll be linked down below if you're interested. I just love spoken word, and I've talked about this before, but I have such a deep connection with language and with words coming off the tongue. It's one thing to read something in your head, it's another thing to say it aloud. It gives it a different kind of power, which is why I prefer beat poetry spoken word over anything else. And that's kind of how I identify. That's the type of poet I am. Not to say that I'll never publish my own book one day. That is definitely a goal. But I love to give poetry its own life with my ability to speak, and with my inflection, with my passion, with my emotion. So I hope that resonates as I continue to read some poetry that is not mine. Okay, this is one of my favorite bits of prose from this collection, and it is called The Ball of the Spring and Summer Flowers. This is by Maurice Baring, died in 1945. I think this was written in the late 1800s. The next person to arrive was the Queen of the Annunciation Lilies. It's a bit of wind. Bear with me. She was dressed in green and silver. Poor thing, said the young snowdrops. She looks so ill and thin. Sitting up late doesn't agree with her. But the hyacinths, who were young dandies, couldn't take their eyes off her. When the daffodil came tripping into the room, it was the summer flowers' turn to laugh because, they said, she wasn't young at all. And it was ridiculous at her age to pretend to be a spring flower and to behave like that. The rose pretended not to see her, and the lily tossed her head high up in the air and didn't even sniff. The ball began with a quadrille. The lizard danced with the queen of the lilies, and Prince Fleur-de-Lis danced with the rose. After that, everybody began to dance wildly. The snowdrops were there in a state of great excitement, because it was their first ball, and their cousins the crocuses teased and pinched them. The irises looked at them with contempt, as if they were too much used to such things to be excited, although they had only been once to a ball before. The Misses Anomone shivered in the drought, and the tulips in their crimson and orange tunics danced better than all the young flowers. The lovely pink, whom everybody was in love with, sat in a corner under a mushroom and talked in a whisper to all the tulips and the hyacinths, one after another. And the rose looked at her and frowned, and said it wasn't fair on the rosebuds, and that she ought to be turned out. The jessamine arrived late, so still and listless, and wandered about looking lonely and pensive, till she found the lizard, and she talked to him during the whole evening. I love this because of the beautiful artwork in it as well. Okay, this man and his dog keeps walking around, and it's so awkward, and I'm trying to just read some poetry by myself, and then a man has to show up. Oh, helicopter, you're ruining the vibe. Must you do this at this moment in time? Okay, switching over to Miss Christina Rossetti. I'm going to read a very famous poem to you by her called Goblin Market. This is one of my favorite poems, probably of all time. Holds a specific magic that I don't think can be quite duplicated. There's some poems that just hit. They hit and they hit the right spot for the collective, and this is one of them. And I hope to be that kind of poet one day. I hope to be the type of poet that lingers, and my words to fester in your soul and to leave an imprint long after I'm gone, hopefully. That is the goal. That is the lifelong goal. If I have any long-term vision or any long-term goal at all, it's just to make an impression. This copy has some artwork as well. I love poetry with artwork. I love a visual aid. I think it just helps the magic come alive, truly. Ooh, there's wind and it's cold! This is Goblin Market. Morning and evening maids heard the goblins cry. Come buy our orchard fruits, come buy, apples and quinces, lemons and oranges, plump, unpecked cherries, melons and raspberries, bloom down-cheeked peaches, swart-headed mulberries, wild, free-born cranberries, crab apples, dewberries, pineapples, blackberries, apricots, strawberries, all ripe together in summer weather. Morns that pass by, fair eves that fly, come buy, our grapes fresh from the vine, pomegranates full and fine, dates and sharp bulances, rare pears in green gauges, damsons and bilberries, taste them and try. Currants and gooseberries, bright fire like barberries, figs to fill your mouth, citrons from the south, sweet to tongue and sound to eye, come buy. Evening by evening, among the brookside rushes, Laura bowed her head to hear, Lizzie veiled her blushes, crouching close together in the cooling weather, with clasping arms and cautioning lips, tingling cheeks and fingertips. Lie close, Laura said, pricking up her golden head. We must not look at goblin men, we must not buy their fruits. Who knows upon what soil they fed, their hungry, thirsty roots. Come buy, call the goblins, hobbling down the glen. Oh, cried Lizzie, Laura, you should not peep at goblin men. Lizzie covered up her eyes, covered close lest they should look. Laura reared her glossy head, and whispered like the restless brook, look, Lizzie, down the glen tramp little men. One hauls a basket, one bears a plate, one lugs a golden dish of many pounds weight. How fair the vine must grow, whose grapes are so luscious. How warm the wind must blow through those fruit bushes. No, said Lizzie, no, their offers should not charm us. Their evil gifts would harm us. She thrust a dimpled finger in each ear, shut eyes, and ran. Curious Laura chose to linger, wondering at each merchant man. One had a cat's face, one whisked a tail, one tramped at a rat's pace, one crawled like a snail. One like a wombat prowled obtuse and furry, one like a rattle tumbled hurry-scurry. She heard a voice like voice of doves, cooing all together. They sounded kind and full of loves in the pleasant weather. Laura stretched her gleaming neck like a rush-embedded swan, like a lily from the beck, like a moonlit poplar branch, like a vessel at the launch when its last restraint is gone. Backwards up the mossy glen turned and trooped the goblin men, with their shrill, repeated cry, come buy. When they reached where Laura was, they stood stock still upon the moss, leering at each other, brother with queer brother, signaling each other, brother with sly brother. One set his basket down, one reared his plate, one began to weave a crown of tendrils, leaves, and rough nuts brown. Men sell not such in any town. One heaved the golden weight of dish and fruit to offer her. Come buy, was still their cry. Laura stared, but did not stir, longed, but had no money. The whisk-tailed merchant bade her taste, in tones as smooth as honey. The cat-faced purred, the rat-paced spoke a word, welcome, and the snail-paced even was heard, one parrot-voiced and jolly, cried, pretty goblin still for pretty Polly, one whistled like a bird. But sweet-toothed Laura spoke in haste, good folk, I have no coin, to take were to purloin, I have no copper in my purse, I have no silver either, and all my gold is on the furs that shakes in windy weather above the rusty heather. You have much gold upon your head, they answered all together. Buy from us with a golden curl. She clipped a precious golden lock. She dropped a tear more rare than pearl, that sucked their fruit globes fair or red, sweeter than honey from the rock, stronger than man rejoicing wine, clearer than water flowed that juice. She never tasted such before. How should it cloy with length of use? She sucked and sucked and sucked the more fruits which that unknown orchard bore. She sucked until her lips were sore, then flung the emptied rinds away, but gathered up one kernel stone, and knew not was it night or day, as she turned home alone. Lizzie met her at the gate, full of wise upbraidings. Dear, you should not stay so late. Twilight is not good for maidens. Should not loiter in the glen in the haunts of goblin men. Do you not remember Jeanie? How she met them in the moonlight, took their gifts both choice and many, ate their fruits, wore their flowers, plucked from bowers where summer ripens at all hours. But ever in the noonlight she pined and pined away, sought them by night and day, found them no more but dwindled and grew gray, then fell with the first snow, while to this day no grass will grow where she lies low. I planted daisies there a year ago, they never blow. You should not loiter so. Nay, hush, said Laura. Nay, hush, my sister. I ate and ate my fill, yet my mouth waters still. Tomorrow night I will buy more. And kissed her. Have done with sorrow. I'll bring you plums tomorrow, fresh on their mother twigs, cherries worth getting. You cannot think what figs my teeth have met in, what melons icy cold, piled on a dish of gold, too huge for me to hold, what peaches with a velvet nap, pellucid grapes without one seed. Odorous indeed must be the mead, whereon they grow, and pure the wave they drink, with lilies at the brink, and sugar sweet their sap. Golden head by golden head, like two pigeons in one nest, folded in each other's wings, they lay down in their curtained bed, like two blossoms on one stem, like two flakes of new fallen snow, like two wands of ivory, tipped with gold for awful kings. Moon and stars gazed in at them, wind sang them to lullaby, lumbering owls forbore to fly. Not a bat flapped to and fro round their nest, cheek to cheek and breast to breast, locked together in one nest. Early in the morning, when the first cock crowed his warning, neat like bees, as sweet and busy, Laura rose with Lizzie, fetched in honey, milked the cows, aired and set to rights the house, kneaded cakes of whitest wheat, cakes for dainty mouths to eat. Next churned butter, whipped up cream, fed their poultry, sat and sewed, talked as modest maidens should. Lizzie with an open heart, Laura in an absent dream, one content, one sick in part, one warbling for the mere bright day's delight, one longing for the night. At length slow evening came, they went with pitchers to the reedy brook, Lizzie most placid in her look, Laura most like a leaping flame. They drew the gurgling water from its deep, Lizzie plucked purple and rich golden flags, then turning homeward said, the sunset flushes those furthest loftiest crags. Come, Laura, not another maiden lags, no wilful squirrel wags. The beasts and birds are fast asleep, but Laura loitered still amongst the rushes, and said the bank was steep, and said the hour was early still, the dew not fallen, the wind not chill, listening ever but not catching the customary cry, come by, with its iterated jingle of sugar-baited words. Not for all her watching, one discerning, even one goblin, racing, whisking, tumbling, hobbling, let alone the herds that used to tramp along the glen, in groups or single of brisk fruit merchant men. Till Lizzie urged, oh, Laura, come, I hear the fruit call, but I dare not look. You should not loiter longer at this brook. Come with me home. The stars rise, the moon bends her arc, each glowworm winks her spark. Let us get home before the night grows dark, though this is summer weather. Put out the lights and drench us through. Then if we lost our way, what should we do? Laura turned cold as stone to find her sister heard that cry alone, that goblin cry. Come buy our fruits, come buy. Must she then buy no more such dainty fruit? Must she no more that succulous pasture find, gone deaf and blind, her tree of life dropped from the root? She said not one word in her heart's sore ache, but peering through the dimness, not discerning, trudged home, her pitcher dripping all the way, so crept to bed and lay, silent till Lizzie slept, then sat up in a passionate yearning, and gnashed her teeth for balked desire, and wept as if her heart would break. Day after day, night after night, Laura kept watch in vain, in sullen silence of exceeding pain. She never caught again the goblin cry, come buy, come buy. She never spied the goblin men hawking their fruits along the glen. But when the noon waxed bright, her hair grew thin and gray, she dwindled, as the fair full moon doth turn to swift decay, and burn her fire away. One day, remembering her kernel stone, she set it by a wall that faced the south, dewed it with tears, hoped for a root, watching for a waxing shoot. But there came none. It never saw the sun, it never felt the trickling moisture run. While with sunk eyes and faded mouth she dreamed of melons, as a traveler sees false waves in desert drought, with shade of leaf-crowned trees, and burns the thirstier in the sand-full breeze. She no more swept the house, tended the fowls or cows, fetched honey, kneaded cakes of wheat, brought water from the brook, but sat down listless in the chimney nook, and would not eat. Tender Lizzie could not bear to watch her sister's cankerous care, yet not to share. She, night and morning, caught the goblin's cry, come buy our orchard fruits, come buy, come buy. Beside the brook, along the glen, she heard the tramp of goblin men. The voice and stir poor Laura could not hear, longed to buy fruit to comfort her, but feared to pay too dear. She thought of Jeanie in her grave, Who should have been a bride, but who for joys brides hoped to have, fell sick and died in her gay prime, in earliest winter time, with the first glazing rime, with the first snowfall of crisp winter time, till Laura dwindling seemed knocking at death's door. Then Lizzie weighed no more, better and worse, but put a silver penny in her purse, kissed Laura, crossed the heath with clumps of firs, at twilight halted by the brook, and for the first time in her life began to listen and look. Laughed every goblin when they spied her peeping, came towards her hobbling, flying, running, leaping, puffing and blowing, chuckling, clapping, crowing, clucking and gobbling, mopping and mowing, full of airs and graces, pulling wry faces, demure grimaces, cat-like and rat-like, rattle and wombat-like, snail-paced in a hurry, parrot-voiced and whistler. Helter-skelter, hurry-scurry, chattering like magpies, fluttering like pigeons, gliding like fishes, hugged her and kissed her, squeezed and caressed her, stretched up their dishes, panniers and plates. Look at our apples, russet and dun, bob at our cherries, bite at our peaches, citrons and dates, grapes for the asking, pears red with basking out in the sun. Plums on their twigs, pluck them and suck them, pomegranates, figs. Good folks, said Lizzie, mindful of Jeanie, give me much and many, held out her apron, tossed them her penny, nay, take a seat with us, honor and eat with us. They answered grinning, our feast is but beginning. Night yet is early, warm and dew-pearly, wakeful and starry. Such fruits as these no man can carry, half their bloom would fly, half their dew would dry, half their flavor would pass by. Sit down and feast with us, be welcome guest with us, cheer you and rest with us. Thank you, said Lizzie, but one waits at home alone for me, so without further parleying, if you will not sell me any of your fruits, though much and many, give me back my silver penny, I tossed you for a fee. They began to scratch their pates, no longer wagging, purring, but visibly demurring, grunting and snarling. One called her proud, cross-grained, uncivil. Their tones waxed loud, their looks were evil. Lashing their tails, they trod and hustled her, elbowed and jostled her, clawed with their nails, barking, mewing, hissing, mocking, tore her gown and soiled her stocking, twitched her hair out by the roots, stamped upon her tender feet, held her hands and squeezed their fruits against her mouth to make her eat. White and golden Lizzie stood, like a lily in a flood, like a rock of blue-veined stone, lashed by tides, like a beacon left alone in a hoary, roaring sea, sending up a golden fire, like a fruit-crowned orange tree, white with blossoms honey-sweet, sore beset by wasp and bee, like a royal virgin town, topped with gilded dome and spire, close beleaguered by a fleet, mad to tug her standard down. One may lead a horse to water, 20 cannot make him drink, though the goblins cuffed and caught her, coaxed and fought her, bullied and besought her, scratched her, pinched her black as ink, kicked and knocked her, mauled and mocked her. Lizzie uttered not a word, would not open lip from lip, lest they should cram a mouthful in, but laughed in heart to feel the drip of juice that syruped all her face. It lodged in dimples of her chin, and streaked her neck with quacked like curd. At last the evil people, worn out by her resistance, flung back her penny, kicked their fruit along whichever road they took, not leaving root or stone or shoot. Some writhed into the ground, some dived into the brook with ring and ripple, some scudded on the gale without a sound, some vanished in the distance. In a smart ache tingle, Lizzie went her way, knew not was it night or day, sprang up the bank, tore through the firs, threaded copse and dingle, and heard her penny jingle bouncing in her purse. Its bounce was music to her ear. She ran and ran, as if she feared some goblin man dogged her with gibe or curse or something worse, but not one goblin scurried after her. Nor was she pricked by fear. The kind heart made her windy paced, that urged her home quite out of breath with haste and inward laughter. She cried Laura up in the garden, did you miss me? Come and kiss me, never mind my bruises, hug me, kiss me, suck my juices, squeezed from goblin fruits for you. Goblin pulp and goblin dew. Eat me, drink me, love me. Laura, make much of me. For your sake I have braved the glen, and had to do with goblin merchantmen. Laura started from her chair, flung her arms up in the air, clutched her hair. Lizzie, Lizzie, have you tasted for my sake the fruit forbidden? Must your light like mine be hidden, your young life like mine be wasted, undone in mine undoing, and ruined in my ruin? Thirsty, cankered, goblin-ridden? She clung about her sister, kissed and kissed and kissed her. Tears once again refreshed her shrunken eyes, dropping like rain after long sultry drouth. Shaking with anguish, fear, and pain, she kissed and kissed her with a hungry mouth. Her lips began to scorch. That juice was wormwood on her tongue. She loathed the feast. Writhing as one possessed, she leaped and sung, rent all her robe and wrung her hands in lamentable haste, and beat her breast. Her locks streamed like the torch borne by a racer at full speed, or like the mane of horses in their flight, or like an eagle when she stems the light, straight toward the sun. or like a caged thing freed, or like a flying flag when armies run. Swift fire spread through her veins, knocked at her heart, met the fire smoldering there, and overboard's lesser flame. She gorged on bitterness without a name. Ah, full to choose such part of soul-consuming care. Sense failed in the mortal strife, like the watchtower of a town, which an earthquake shatters down, like a lightning-stricken mast, like a wind-uprooted tree, spun about, like a foam-topped waterspout, cast down headlong in the sea. She fell at last, pleasure past and anguish past. Is it death, or is it life? Life out of death. That night long Lizzie watched by her, counted her pulses, flagging stir, felt for her breath, held water to her lips and cooled her face with tears and fanning leaves. But when the first birds chirped about their eaves, and early reapers plodded to the place of golden sheaves and dew-wet grass, bowed in the morning wind so brisk to pass, and new buds with new day opened of cup-like lilies on the stream. Laura awoke as if from a dream, laughed in the innocent old way, hugged Lizzie not twice or thrice. Her gleaming locks showed not one thread of gray, her breath as sweet as May, and light danced in her eyes. Days, weeks, months, years afterwards, when both were wives, with children of their own, their mother hearts beset with fears, their lives bound up in tender lives, Laura would call the little ones and tell them of her early prime. Those pleasant days long of not returning time, would talk about the haunted glen, the wicked, quaint fruit merchant men, their fruits like honey to the throat, but poison in the blood. Men sell not such in any town. Would tell them how her sister stood in deadly peril to do her good, and win the fiery antidote, and joining hands to little hands would bid them cling together, for there is no friend like a sister, in calm or stormy weather, to cheer one on the tedious way, to fetch one if one goes astray, to lift one if one totters down, to strengthen whilst one stands. Wow, I can't even truly wrap my head around how someone can write something like that. And every time I read a poem of that, it's like a triumph. It's like a triumphant poem. It's like, why do I even bother writing? Do any other poets relate? Like when you read someone's poetry or you hear it, you're like, damn, why do I even bother? If that was your first time hearing Goblin Market, I'm so glad that I was the one to read it to you. The sun is coming in through the tree in the most beautiful way. I hope this was a beautiful video for you for your Sunday. Now I'm rhyming, but I love you guys dearly. Thank you for allowing me to relax and just sit and read to you for a bit and do something that fills up my cup, and reading poetry and prose does just that, and it makes me feel inspired. It makes me want to write something of my own when I get home. But I love you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.